is now taking the fight straight to the American consumer. It is weaponizing social media and recruiting Chinese suppliers to launch the attacks. Take a look at this.
Do you recognize this style? For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it.
China has ultimately destroyed U.S. major brands on this ongoing trade tariff war. Take a look at this. Apple under pressure. Nike facing boycotts. Hermes, Louis Vuitton, and major U.S. brands are facing a serious reputation damage. What's going on?
Chinese producers are all over social media right now, and they're exposing just who is targeted by Trump's tariffs. And it's not the American consumers, and it's not the Chinese producers. It's actually our international corporations who have sold out American prosperity for their own profits. Let me illustrate. Let's use this example, Nike. Now, these are fictitious numbers, just for example. But let's say that Nike buys shoes from this company that manufactures Nike shoes for $10 a Nike shoe, which isn't very far off. Nike turns around and sells that shoe at retail for $100. Here's the interesting part about tariffs. You're not paying tariffs on the retail price. This is not a tax in the classic sense. The way the economists who are bought and paid for are trying to conflate it as. It is a tax on the import. This means with a 25% tariff, Nike's going to have to pay $2.50 to the US government every time it imports a Nike shoe at $10. So this $2.50 gets remitted to the American government, to American citizens. Now Nike's cost $10 for the shoe, $2.50 for the import tax. This means they're netting $87 per shoe. Now that's net, not profit. There are going to be other costs that are going to have to come from that. But you can see that the increase in cost is $2.50. So let's say that Nike passes the entire cost onto the consumer, even a little more, just because of the fear of tariffs. $103 a shoe now. That is the impact of a 25% tariff. So what the Chinese producers on TikTok are saying, instead of the American consumer buying it for $103, or let's just say that the company Nike eats all $2.50 of the tariff and still sells it for $100, you're way better off over here, paying directly to China, including the tariff, $12.50 a shoe plus shipping. So as you can see, the tariffs are not meant to hurt consumers. They're not meant to hurt China. They don't really affect China at all. They're meant to protect American industry. They're meant to protect Americans from their corporations who will sell them out for a profit. So if you look hard, you'll notice that the people who are screaming about how bad tariffs are for consumers, it's these companies right here. It's Wall Street. It's all the investors in these companies, because they don't want American citizens to realize these companies have sold them out and that they're not doing Americans any favors.
First of all, after finding out what I just found out about the U.S. and China, you know, I want to say I'm highly ticked off. I'm highly upset. 3 years ago, I paid $450 for these Gucci slides at the Gucci store right here in Houston, Texas. And now China done exposed the fact that these shoes right here only cost 75 cents to produce. You know what? Real Gucci slides. I'm done. What the hell with these Gucci slides? You know what? That's over here. China, listen. If y'all watching this, China, I have nothing against y'all. I want to personally say thank you. What they did was wrong. 75 cents for Gucci slides. I got about 15 pair of these things in my damn closet. What the hell's going on, man? 75 cents? How much were these to produce? How much were these, huh? Were these another one of those famous slides that Valentino that only cost 10 or 12 cents? Listen, I'm buying direct now from the manufacturer. I'm finna start buying manufacturer straight directly. So basically, these are fake. These are basically fake. That's what y'all tell. I'm upset, man. So I've been walking around with fake Gucci slides on the whole time. You mean to tell me I could have just walked into a knockoff store and bought these same Gucci slides for $10 or $12? Nobody would have knew that they was fake. Like, people say it's the quality, but nobody's gonna walk up and say, hey, let me feel the quality of your Gucci slides. Hey, let me feel the quality of your Ameri to see if it's real. I'm upset, man. China, thank you for exposing the people. This is how I feel about these Gucci slides. Thank you again, China. We, as Americans, appreciate you guys exposing the truth. Thank you.
And this is why America was trying to keep it a secret of what's going on in China. And if you don't know, look at the search bar and see what was going on behind the scenes in China and how they exposed America. All that designer that you've been spending your hard-earned money on, $500, $600, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So basically all that money that you've been working for, you're basically spending on knockoffs, if that's what you want to call it. Alleyway specials. If I must say, China is basically saying your favorite designer gets their clothes, their bags, their shoes made in China, not in Italy. So when you're thinking that you're getting the finest materials, you're getting it from China. Now China's saying that they got them for cheap and they've been had them. They're just not keeping it a secret anymore. So what they're implying is that that designer that you've been wearing is coming out of their factory. The whole time you're thinking it's come from Italy. And they make it for cheaper, and we might as well not spend what we've been spending on that designer that you've been buying. And it's crazy to me because a lot of people like to flex their designer. A lot of people even lost their lives to designer. And you're going to tell me that China's been making it this whole time? But all I can say is this, all this trade war is bringing the truth to light.
While Washington and Beijing clash over tariffs and tech, China has been quietly, and sometimes not so quietly, going after some of America's biggest brands. This isn't just about trade deficits or diplomatic spats. It's about economic warfare, soft power, and strategic consumer retaliation. Today, we're diving deep into how China is destroying U.S. brands in this high-stakes trade war. Back in 2018, President Trump fired the first big shot. Billions of dollars in tariffs on Chinese goods were imposed, aimed at reducing the trade deficit and punishing intellectual property theft. China responded in kind, but it wasn't just about tariffs. They went after something deeper: consumer loyalty. Beijing knows its 1.4 billion citizens are a powerful weapon, and when relations soured, it sent a message. American brands are not welcome unless they play by Chinese rules. Let's start with Apple.
Does anybody know how much it costs to make this beautiful product in China? Anybody want to take a guess? It's the iPhone 14, $100. The lady?
Less than 100.
Less than 100. I'll give you one more chance. How much? 300. You ready for the answer? $10.
For years, iPhones were a status symbol in China. But once the trade war heated up and Huawei was blacklisted by the U.S., nationalism surged. Chinese consumers began ditching iPhones for Huawei and other local brands, not because of tech specs, but out of loyalty to the homeland. Social media campaigns trended with slogans like, "Support China, buy Huawei." Apple's China sales slumped. Meanwhile, Huawei's domestic sales soared, even as it was getting strangled by U.S. sanctions. Starbucks and McDonald's, once unstoppable in China's urban hubs, are now facing a different kind of pressure. The government hasn't banned them outright. No, it's subtler than that. State media criticizes Western fast food culture. Local influencers promote domestic coffee chains like Luckin Coffee. And Chinese consumers, driven by nationalism or government nudges, are shifting their spending. In 2021, Nike and Intel publicly distanced themselves from cotton sourced from Xinjiang, citing forced labor concerns. That didn't sit well with China. Almost overnight, celebrities cut ties with Nike. E-commerce platforms delisted their products. Street protests and viral campaigns called for nationwide boycotts. And guess what? Sales tanked. This was Beijing sending a message: criticize our policies and you'll pay the price. This isn't just economics. It's soft power. China wants the world to consume Chinese products, use Chinese tech, wear Chinese fashion, and by pushing U.S. brands out of its market, it's clearing the stage. This trade war isn't always fought with tariffs or sanctions. A lot of it happens at the mall, in app stores, and on social media. Every time a Chinese influencer says, "I'm switching from iPhone to Huawei," It's a micro-attack in the larger economic battle. It's decentralized economic warfare, and it's working. If U.S. brands can be weakened by Chinese public sentiment, it shows just how powerful China's internal market has become. It also signals a future where companies might have to choose sides. Can you support human rights and still operate in China? Can a brand be truly global if it's dependent on staying in Beijing's good graces? The trade war isn't just about steel or semiconductors. It's about identity, influence, and who sets the rules in the global economy. And right now, China is showing that when it comes to controlling its market, it's willing to destroy even the most iconic U.S. brands to send a message. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, hit that like button, share it with someone who loves geopolitics, and subscribe for more weekly deep dives into global power moves. This is Adaka Streams, and I'll see you in the next one.